Welcome to Log It, another movie podcast. I am Caleb. I am here with my good friend Ian.
Hey, everybody.
Who is that? Hulk? Hogan?
No, that was like a radio DJ. That was kind of
Or Bonesaw? Bonesaw.
Bonesaw. No, yeah, that was just a persona I was
I
going
liked it.
for.
I like it.
Okay, good.
This is episode 3.
Oh my gosh.
We are recording in person.
That's right. I'm looking at Caleb right now.
In person. It is so nice doing this. It'll be fun to see how it goes. I like not looking at my face on the screen.
I like looking at your face. So
Ditto.
this works out.
Yeah, this is great. So very excited to be here. Ian,
What's up, man?
I had a little bit of drama this week.
Oh no.
You were looking at my Letterboxd.
Okay, I try not to. I don't want to
I watched 5 movies, I think, in a day. It was a
Yeah.
Saturday and I had nothing to do, and I love days where I can just kinda hang out and watch movies.
I like we're having this conversation on the podcast. This is good. I think it's good that we're airing this out.
Actually, are you making fun of me?
No, I'm being serious.
Okay,
This
good.
is good.
I wasn't offended, but you were like, "Wow, you're watching a lot of movies," and I was like, "Well, I like movies."
So this is what happened. This is where I'm at. I boxed myself into these rules, Caleb. So the whole point, not the whole point, but a big part of the podcast and with Letterboxd is showing your recent activities, which is your last 4. Because of that, I've kind of backed myself into a corner and I tell myself I'm only committing to 4 movies per record. I'm not going to go above that amount.
Got it.
For me, that I feel like that's a good amount. Now, when I see you stepping outside those boundaries, it's not me getting mad at you. It's more me checking myself, just being like, "Whoa, Ian, this is what like Caleb can do whatever he wants. You don't have to
Yeah.
put your own personal baggage onto him." But I think for me, you know, I like the 4 movies a week. I would like to know why you not why, but like why so many movies, Caleb?
Yeah, great question. I hear you. Sometimes I do, so it can be tricky. You said this to me. We kind of put ourselves in a box with this last 4. I'm trying really hard not to let the podcast affect my movie watching habit. Because part of me is like, well, you can't start watching like cool movies right before the podcast just because you want to look cool. Like I have to keep it real.
Caleb watched Die Hard 4 times? No, I get that. Again, this is my own personal baggage. I think you need to do you.
Totally. And that's what the podcast is about, movie baggage.
Is it?
Movie journeys, which you need baggage for.
So we already delved into how I choose movies, right? And the chaotic nature that creates. But I kind of like the idea of just being like, well, this is the movie I'm going to watch and I'm going to talk about it regardless if I liked it or not. I like that part. Excites me about kind of the movie journey that I'm going on personally.
I agree, and I think there's just overall, I think this podcast we both kind of want it to be about just us watching movies as much as it is about us talking about the movies.
And the more I think about it, it's a movie conversation podcast.
Yeah, and everybody can comment on a movie, but only we can give our opinions because we're only us.
Right. I think
That's
I
not
see
exactly what I meant
getting
to
at,
say,
yeah.
but you know what? We're bringing us to the podcast, which is ultimately our unique selling point.
Right. This is a very therapeutic start to the podcast. I'm
Good.
enjoying this. But yeah, I think in terms of like how many movies you watched during a record or before a record rather, I think it's fine. I think again, it's more me putting my own personal rules onto you. I think you should do what you want to do. You should watch as however many movies you want, and I will have to accept that regardless.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I think just in general, I'm not a very social media person, and so to me, it was like, oh, I forgot the public is seeing what my Saturday is because that day was basically all movies. So if you saw my letterbox, you basically knew what my day was.
Right. Yeah, exactly. See, I'm not trying to post 3 movies in a day. That might make me look like a hermit, but,
I posted 6 in a day, Ian. You realize you just called me a hermit plus
see, I
3
didn't know that.
movies.
I didn't actually see that.
Okay,
You
that's
watch
okay.
6 movies in a day?
Yeah, that was the day you texted me when you were like, "You watch Birds too?"
Oh boy. This is troubling, Caleb. This is troubling.
This wasn't meant to be a full call out, but it's become one, and that's okay.
Well, you put this out on yourself, and also it's for the whole world to see.
No, but I don't I'm proud of, I love movies. If I have a day free with my wife and we're both just looking to hang out and have a good time,
That's
we
good.
will watch movies back to back all day. I'll cook
Question.
dinner, we'll watch another one, it's wonderful. I love
Okay,
those days.
I
We'll go
love
for
that.
walks between them and stuff, we get outside.
Right, right, right. So I love that. So I am also happily married, but when you okay, so when you watch a movie with your wife, is she watching it, or is she working and watching it?
So
See what I
it
mean?
Yeah, yeah. So it depends on the movie and the time. Most likely if it's a big day like that, she'll be doing other stuff. She does art. She actually did the wonderful podcast logo we have.
Go ahead and shout out her social
Yeah, that
media.
so her Instagram is Sunflower Pop Shop. She does a lot of really cool art. I'm obviously a big fan of hers.
Mm.
Yeah, she did our logo and any variations you see of that logo. But so yeah, so she draws a lot. So a lot of them she'll be watching just like kind of background while she does other things, and I'm kind of really watching.
But does that bother you?
It depends. Like last night we watched Us together, and she watched it with me,
Okay, good.
and that was like a full. If we're like having a movie night where it's like, oh, I made dinner and we're gonna sit and watch a movie, and then she's doing things, I'm like a little like,
Yeah, I think yeah, whenever Alex is doing work and she's like, you can watch a movie. I'm a little like, well, and if it's a movie I want to share with her, that's when it gets a little tricky because I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch this while you're, working. And also, again, you know, she has work to do, so like she should be able to do that. Again, my own personal baggage coming back up on the podcast.
yeah, life is always a priority.
That's true. That's true. Well, speaking of last four, Caleb, hit me with yours, baby.
Yeah, I'd love to jump into the last 4. So, my, 4th last watch, the farthest away, was The Birds. After we talked Psycho last week, I got really excited and ended up watching a few other revisiting a few of those, and,
Hmm.
we said enough last week. Great movie. Darby O'Gill and the Little People was the next movie I watched. This is one when I was talking about my conflicts of last 4. This is one I really wanted to push out of my last 4, but I didn't have time. I enjoyed it. It was fine. I like watching old Disney movies.
I've been kind of on a hankering to watch some of those. Yeah.
Interestingly, that director also directed Mary Poppins and
Oh.
Bedknobs and
Oh,
Broomsticks.
personal favorite of mine. Bed
Love
knobs.
Bedknob. Oh, dude, we should
This
do.
might be
Yep.
this
No,
might noted.
talk list Bing. I love that one. And Mary Poppins is also a wonderful movie. So it was fun watching that. He did a few others that you've heard of, like Herbie Goes Around,
Fully
which is a
loaded.
sequel. It was the sequel, I think, actually to that one.
Okay.
And he did the Love Bug, Old Yeller.
Oh
Um,
wow, a Disney staple, a live action Disney.
yeah, he was the guy. He was doing it. Robert Stevenson. And One interesting thing I'll say, special effects were incredible, actually. They did, like, miniatures, like,
I love that.
small, shrunken people with normal sized people, which usually looks horrible, like, even into the '90s, there's some movies that do not look good, like, Indian in the Cupboard can be a little rough.
Mm.
This movie looked awesome. I don't know how they did it, but the special effects were incredible, like, genuinely, so check it out for that. My next one was Drop Dead Gorgeous from 1999.
Mm.
That was directed by Michael Patrick Jan. That was really good. It was kind of a precursor to the mockumentary TV shows of today.
A lot of like
Um,
talking heads.
yeah, and just like a cast, a fake cast. Like if you've ever
Oh
seen a
sure.
Christopher Guest movie,
Come on, man. I grew up on those movies.
this is like very similar to that Christopher Guest '90s
Got it.
documentary
Best in
mockumentary thing. Yes.
Show,
Oh, dude.
Waiting for Guffman, classics. Yeah.
So that was a fun one. I love it. It's one of my wife's favorite, and it's on HBO Max right
Oh,
now.
good to know.
So if you're interested in checking it out, grab it while it's on HBO Max and watch. It's very funny. My last one was our movie of the week, Us, 2019, Jordan Peele. I've seen this one a few times. According to Letterbox, this was my fifth time seeing it.
Wow, and this is your
It
recommendation.
was mine. I really like it. And I'm excited to talk about it.
Me
I think
too.
it's kind of Jordan Peele's overlooked like Ugly Stepchild, but it's one of his better movies, I think.
I
Well,
We'll get
no, they're
into
all
it.
good. Yeah.
We'll get into it.
So those are my last four, a little long-winded, but Ian, what did you watch?
Oh, buddy, here we go. So, as Caleb said, we both watched The Birds. I think after that Psycho talk.
Do we have another double?
Yeah, I watched The Birds.
I didn't
Did you
even
not know?
realize. No, again. So we did double Alfred Hitchcock's last
We
week.
got hitched.
Wow,
We got
dude.
hitched.
How
We're
fun is
hitchheads.
that? Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I had a hankering for some Hitchcock, so I watched The Birds, 1963. A really cool film. I was more interested because when we were talking about Psycho, you were comparing it versus The Birds in terms of um this has a lot more like special effects like wrapped into the movie. So I was
Yeah.
kind of interested to see kind of the differences between the movie. But I actually we'll talk about it, but I liked it. I didn't think they aged that poorly. After that, I watched 2021's The Green Knight, directed by David Lowery. It was a very wild ride of a movie. Extremely beautiful, starring Dev Patel. Excuse me, David Lowery. He's done some of the Disney remake movies recently. So he did The Green Knight, which I heard was actually supposed to be like the best of a bad bunch. But he also just recently did Peter Pan and Wendy.
Wait, what did he do? But you said he did The Green Knight, but I think you meant to say a Disney movie that he did.
Oh, I'm sorry, The Green Dragon.
Ah, got it, got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So he
Cool.
did The
Okay.
Green Dragon, and then which was a Disney animated movie from back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah. But he did the remake,
he did the
right?
remake. Yeah. After that, I watched Martin Scorsese's The King of Comedy from 1982. Very fun movie that I've never seen before.
Okay, cool.
Um,
It's kind of dark, right?
it is dark, and but it's I would say it's there's like more lightheartedness. I mean, the overall movie is like a dark subject, but there's some light tones to it that I really enjoyed. It was a fun watch. And then finally, we watched Us.
Us.
Great movie.
Really good. Cool. Well, I love that. Green Knight, I really
Have you seen it?
want to watch.
Oh
No.
man,
It's one that's been on my list since I think when it came out, you were really pumped about it. We almost saw it together, if I remember.
I
We
th-
talked about it
yeah,
maybe.
I was really excited about the movie. I was I've always kind of been a big a fantasy guy. Big fantasy guy over
Yeah.
here. I love King Arthur. I love kind of like the whole mythology that's wrapped up into that. And this movie, it's based on a 14th century poem anonymously written. No one knows who wrote it, but he essentially just took that, created. There's been a few movies about it in the past, but this seems to be like very true to the work, to the poem. Just the way the story is told, it feels very true to the written word. But it's an extremely beautiful movie. Like all the set design, the characters, um, and like the way they use color. It's a truly gorgeous film. It's a little not like heady. It's like steeped in like analogies and like metaphors, but
Very poetic. I mean, it's literally
I
based
mean,
on a
it's based on a
poem, but it
poem,
seems like
right?
the film, based how it's presented in the trailers, it looks very like I'm not thinking of the right word, symbolic, ethereal. It's much more of a vibe piece than a.
Yeah,
Is that right?
for sure. Yeah, it's very ethereal. It kind of I mean, it has it's not similar in any way, but it just popped in my head because I recently saw it. But it kind of I couldn't help but think of The Northman by Robert Eggers. They kind of they're not similar stories at all, but they kind of have that same like one is steeped in like North mythology, whereas this one is like Arthurian legend, and you do see some parallels between the two. But yeah, it's awesome. It's kind of a weird film to like wrap your head around, but yeah, just like the imagery itself is pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
It looked beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous movie.
I'll say it looked very unique too, because there's a lot of fantasy epics that come out now that have a flavor that aren't very interesting to me. But it looked like they really did a great job of making it like unique and like very grounded. The look of most of the special effects I saw were very like grounded.
It is grounded. There's like some like high fantasy aspects to the
But
movie.
visually, I mean, like they did a good job of
Right.
making it all believable,
For
kind of.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
You know, to pull one of our favorite special effects references, Ant Man, you felt like you were in a set on in a room the whole movie.
For sure. No, yeah,
You
I was
never
actually
felt
watching
immersed.
yeah, I was watching a behind the scenes for the movie. In one of the shots in the film, they were talking about David Lowery was talking about how in order to get some of the wide shots he wanted and like what they would do before digital photography, they would do like matte paintings in order to enlarge the picture, right? They would just like actually paint on the rest of the basically fill out the camera
The empty frame, kind of.
exactly. And so they did that for a specific scene. I'm not sure if it was for the whole movie, but you can kind of see that. You can see like those really nice kind of like aesthetic touches. It's not all like digital glob. There is like a really nice balance of CGI and like practical effects, including the titular Green Knight played by oh god, I forgot his name. Oh, Ralph Innocent, I believe his name is.
Okay.
He was in a bunch of movies, but he like his voice is so like not menacing, but just it sounds so like uh I don't know any other word besides old. Like kind of just like his voice carries a lot of weight. And the character the Green Knight in this movie, they portray him as like a literal like a man made out of wood, like a
Mhm.
big knight, just completely like made like looks like he was like carved out of wood. It's
Cool.
really really cool design. But yeah, his voice acting
So he sounds like an ancient
exactly.
tree,
He's an ancient
basically.
being essentially.
It obvious connection, but it sounds similar to how Gimli did the end, where it was this the kind of like
Exactly,
ancient,
very
deep.
ant like. Also, quick little thing that I thought was really cool. Joel Edgerton is in this movie.
Love him.
Love him. He's a great actor, but he actually played Gawain in a movie that I loved as a middle schooler called King Arthur with Clive Owen.
Yeah. Was that the one with Keira Knightley as well?
Yeah, she plays Genevieve. Yeah, I love that movie. It was that movie was actually directed by Antoine Fuqua. Antoine Fuqua, who did like Training Days. Yeah, he directed this movie, which is insane. It's a really look. I love that movie,
I
but
loved it when I was younger. I don't remember it very well, but
it's
when I
not
saw it,
historically accurate. Like King Arthur is like almost he has like Roman vibes, like all the knights do. But Joel Edgerton plays Gawain in that movie. I thought that was, and then he's in the Green Knight. I don't know. I just thought it was
no, that's cool. That's weird.
last I'll say about it. Beautiful movie. I think it's kind of like Us. I think it's a movie that deserves revisiting.
Yeah.
Because again, there's like so many like just the way they use characters, color, just like even the camera work. You're like, okay, there's like a reason to why they're doing this, you know? Um, so I think I thought it was a beautiful. I love this movie. It was great.
Yeah, I want to watch it. This is a good watch list. This is a good push for me to watch because I've been wanting to. I think it's streaming somewhere. Is that correct?
Right now, I'm on a library kick. It's really fun. It's kind of fun just to kind of go to your local library, kind of sift through the catalog, and just be like, picking this one, picking this one. So I implore you guys to go to your local library and rent your movies there, especially if they're not streaming. I think we're now, especially with like, I don't want to get on my soapbox, but with the writer strike, I don't want to. I'm not saying cancel your streaming services. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is cancel your streaming services. I'm just kidding.
I don't advocate this at all. I would never advocate this. This is more of a warning. But Ian has a big DVD stack right there.
And it's fun,
It's fun. And I'm just saying, there are people in this world who have the audacity to buy DVD drives and download a program that allows them to rip those movies onto their computer digitally or
Yeah.
onto another DVD and then they have those movies on their computer forever. Again, I don't advocate this. I'm putting this out as a warning.
Like, don't do this. This is like those commercials before when you would rent movies from Blockbuster, and it's like you wouldn't steal a car, you wouldn't steal whatever, but would you steal like
A
MP?
movie?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're like, yeah, I would actually. It's actually the easiest of all the options you just gave me is to steal. I will steal a movie. Did not scare me straight. That's all I'm saying.
No. If anything, yeah, they yeah. So I would never advocate, ripping movies and keeping them digitally, but
So, Caleb, we have to address this because it's happened once again where you and I have both seen the same movie unintentionally.
yeah, this is, crazy. It makes sense. We both were in a little bit of a,
Right. We got
psycho.
hitched.
Yeah,
We got
yeah.
hitched. We're cockheads, Caleb.
You got hitched, I got cocked.
Yeah. But okay, so because like I said before, or what you said before rather, about the comparisons between Psycho and The Birds. What did you think this time after
Okay,
revisiting it?
so another movie that got pushed off, which I'll only reference, I won't cheat, but I'm just gonna tell you this was also in my head watching The Birds. I watched Rear Window right before I watched The Birds.
Can't wait to revisit
This
that.
is part of my nice day, and Rear Window is one of me and my wife's favorites, like, lazy day movies. Um,
Jimmy Stewart in a wheelchair.
so good, and
So
just
good.
the windows and just the vibe.
Hmm,
You're introduced to all these people in
for sure.
apartments, and it's just it's a nice little world. So I watched that right before, I watched this after. So last week on the podcast, if you listened, I talked about how, to me, Psycho and Rear Window are above Birds because I feel like the Birds, special effects, while revolutionary and super innovative and, incredible for the time, are not great for me now, and, can, take me out of the movie sometimes. And I stand by that. I think Rear Window and Psycho are perfect movies, basically.
They're a lot more subtle.
Yeah, more subtle, like, and they to their benefit, they don't rely a ton on special effects, which just don't age well generally.
There were some things in The Birds that I actually did enjoy. In terms of special effects, though, because I was reading that Hitchcock kind of used a variety of different things to blend um, the birds, basically. So he used actual birds. I believe he used like robotic mechanisms that were dressed as birds, and then another one which I don't remember. But I didn't think there's a few scenes where it really does take you out of it, but then there's a couple.
They're horrifying, right?
Oh, scary. Kill. There's a scene where towards the end of the movie, Mitch Brenner, one of our characters, it's kind of like you remember that scene in Harry Potter where the letters from Hogwarts are kind of rushing through the chimney.
Me and windows and
Yeah,
everything,
it's the
yeah,
same thing but birds, which is horrifying.
horrifying.
But
That
there's
scene has that I thought about that too while I was watching. That scene
yeah,
has to be inspired by
for
birds,
no
right?
doubt,
Just for the record.
no
Alright, keep
doubt.
going.
Christopher Columbus noted that, and he was like,
I
I'm
can
gonna
make it
terrify
magical.
children. No, but there's the scene where birds are basically trying to get through a boarded up door, and Caleb, Mitch Brenner literally strangles a bird, and it looks real.
Yeah.
And the reason I was like, wait a second, could that have been a real bird? Is because I did not see
No birds were harmed in the making.
bingo. I did not see a PETA stinger at the end,
Yeah.
which concerned me a little bit. I was hoping those were fake birds, but Caleb, he was throttling a bird. It was insane. Yeah, I think he punched a bird. It was crazy.
I doubt it was
I
real,
hope so.
but I also
Hey, it was the 60s, baby. Yeah, some of the bird stuff was a little there's a another scene where basically everyone is out in a out playing, just on a field. Birds come,
yep.
they start dive bombing them,
This is
and
the
then
birthday party, is that right? Yeah,
exactly, and there's when a bird like strikes them, the
yeah.
camera, I don't know if it cuts away or not, but then you'll just see like basically a red streak on their arm to like see
Uh-huh.
that they've been cut, and I'm like, okay, well that looks bad.
Yep,
That's not how wounds work.
yep,
Like that stuff was like very of its time.
yeah.
I don't know. Other than that, but I could see what you mean. I could see like I could see that.
There's a scene specifically I can think of that looks really bad where
Mm.
the kids are running through the street
Dude, so bad.
and there's just the overlay of birds put
It's
over the top and they're just like repeating loops kind of.
yes.
That part to me is just like, yeah. And I
Yeah.
imagine at the time it was probably a
It was
really
horrifying, I
exciting,
bet.
horrifying scene
Yeah,
and you probably weren't as aware. So it's
exactly.
like that's what I mean where I'm like, I can't it's hard for me to experience it the way that was intended. I can appreciate it. Psycho, I feel like I can kind of appreciate the way it was meant to be,
Right.
minus knowing the big twist.
Yeah. But I don't think it's as bad as like another movie that I just thought of while thinking of just special effects on aging well is the second Mummy movie when The Rock becomes
Yeah,
the Scorpion King.
Scorpion King,
Like it's not that bad, right? Like I like that.
the birds isn't that bad? No,
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 no, I
no.
think in comparison, those two,
No.
like that actually, the birds actually for me ages better than
Oh, totally.
like
And the
a fully
birds
CGI character.
yeah, and I have to make it clear. When I say Rear Window and Psycho are above birds in my mind, I'm speaking strictly as a movie watcher
Right.
where, um, I mean and it's like they're tied, and that's just, like, what pushes it slightly over. It's definitely not Birds is so rewatchable. It's so worth the watch. It's a great movie. When she is trapped in the bedroom upstairs
Quick question, Caleb.
yeah.
Why did she go up to that bedroom?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have
Be-
to
no,
really
because so the scene you're about to talk about, this is right after a bunch of birds were attacking their home,
in the
right?
chimney, right? This
Right.
is after the chimney scene?
Bingo. And then she hears like I watch this with closed captionings just so I get a better read of the movie. And for whatever reason, I just do that now, and I'll do that for the rest of my life. But the caption says fluttering, so she hears something. She hears fluttering wings, and then she goes up to investigate. Why would you do that? Why would you go up to a room
And open the
and
door.
open the door? That is like a weird.
Yeah.
That's a bad movie trope that I just like. You're going towards danger.
Yeah.
Walk away. Walk away. Anyway.
I'd have to watch it again. That's a good point. There are I mean, yeah, that definitely feels like something, again, that's kinda become a trope now in the suspense world of like, "Oh, what's that noise? Let me investigate." We're like, "Why?"
But
Like
also, what they're not. The movie's not going to be like, oh, I hear something, and then walk away. Right? She's going
yeah.
to walk towards the danger because that's movie magic.
That scene was terrifying to me as a child. And
I can
just her
imagine,
blocking the door with her lifeless
dude.
body and nobody can help her because she fell in front of the door. It's still to this when I watch it this week, I was stressed out in
Oh
that
yeah,
scene and just like
Mitch, get her. Like, get her, Mitch. Come
yeah,
on.
and she's definitely got real birds doing clawing
That I
and
was gonna say some
hacking
of
at
those
her.
scenes, like they look legit.
I think so. I think there's a lot of great stuff, and they did it better than Birdemic, which had, 40
I did
years.
get Birdemic vibes, which was a but um the character you were talking about, um one of the main actors or one of the main characters rather, Melanie Daniels, who plays she's like on the cover art. She's the one getting attacked by the birds in the
Yeah.
movie poster. Her name, the actress's name, Tippi Hedren.
Yep.
First movie.
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, this is her first movie. Alfred Hitchcock, I think I don't know if he I guess she was a model before this. But I
Interesting.
thought she was awesome. She did such a good job in this movie.
And she is, somebody else's mother.
Oh, really?
She is,
Tippi Hedren, I don't know.
I'm blanking. This is gonna be bad because 'cause we've been
Oh,
talking
I
so
got it. I
much
got it
about
up. She is the mother of Melanie Griffith.
yes, but it's not redhead Melanie Griffith, it's a different Melanie Griffith, actually.
You're right.
Because then Melanie Griffith is the mom of 50 Shades of Grey, Dakota Johnson.
Oh,
So she's Tippi
interesting.
Hedren is the grandmother of Dakota Johnson.
Also, kind of cool note. This is not ironic, but uh she started a wildlife habitat in 1983. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hmm.
Where?
Um,
You know?
Shambhala Preserve. Don't know where that is,
Cool.
but just interesting because she was in a movie where she got attacked by birds, and now she's saving birds. Kind of full circle.
I wonder if that introduced her into this, world that
Maybe
she
she saw the way birds were being treated, and she was like, "I gotta save these birds."
this is all Alfred Hitchcock's fault. She's also in To Catch a Thief,
Uh-huh.
which is another great Hitchcock movie. I really like that one. Rebecca, I've seen. I don't remember it super well, but I didn't realize she was in that.
This movie's also on Netflix for anyone that wants to watch it. Just a heads up. Sorry, you can cut that out.
That's okay. Yeah, no, no. We need to start doing that. We're gonna try to tell you guys where you can watch these. Always check the library. All right, on to our feature film for the week. Us, Jordan Peele, 2019. This was his second movie. Get Out was his first. Nope was his third. Excited to talk about this one. Ian, can you give us a rundown?
So Us revolves around a character named Adelaide Wilson and her family. They take a trip to Santa Cruz, where Adelaide has a traumatic experience as a child. They are they encounter a mysterious family who look exactly like them. They're their doppelgangers, essentially, and they terrorize the family. Right? Am I right or am I wrong?
They are clone, literal copies, carbon
Exactly,
copies.
exactly. Well, with a little, should I say, shadow to them, a little dark side, right? So they terrorize the Wilsons, but as the movie kind of unfolds, you realize that they're not just these random people, but they're like essentially dark reflections of the family. So each family member has their own, what they call their tethered or like a dark shadow personality. Um, and then the movie kind of just unravels from there, where the Wilsons have to escape. They have to, I guess, like battle their tethered, and then yeah, some twists and turns throughout the movie. How'd I do?
That was great.
Okay,
No, I think that's perfect. Yeah. So basically a family being attacked by like evil like
puppies. Yeah.
yeah, what's the classic? What do they call it? Dark Side, the Dark Universe version.
Ooh, I don't know.
Because that was like an old trope in TV shows, where like the evil version of a
I
character
think
would show up and fight people.
interesting.
Um,
Like almost like take over their lives, but
yeah, no, it was just like a full on like it was like the idea I think was like it was the evil universe version. So like Superman from an evil a universe where he's
Bizarro. Is it Bizarro
Bizarro,
world?
yes.
Right.
So these are kind of like their Bizarro.
But with that, it was more like the complete opposite. Like this isn't the complete. This is just like the
That's true.
bad
Yeah,
reflection
that's true.
of character.
And you could probably call it the id. It's like their id,
Ooh,
right?
now we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, because it kind of represents their like deepest, darkest, like
Hey,
caveman.
real quick. That's it going right over my head.
Did id?
What?
Did it? Did it?
Oh, sure,
Just a
sure.
little pun.
Yes, the
No, it
id.
is just like it's like the inner caveman. You know how like
But they're not okay. Yeah, okay, I agree. Okay.
kind of though, but they represent that because they are like the dad keeps trying to push up his glasses even though he doesn't have
Mm.
glasses.
Oh, interesting.
And it kind of more becomes this like tick, like this torturous tick for him, where he's trying to push up glasses that he never actually has.
Got it.
And I guess it doesn't play to id at
Let's delve
all.
more into this. No, but like they are just basically the dark. They're almost like zombie. Like not. I want to say
This is a
zombies.
good thing to dive into. We should take a minute to figure out what they are, because in the movie, so a little bit of a spoiler, they're clones. We find out.
Right.
There
And the
was either
beginning of the movie. Sorry to cut you off,
no,
Caleb.
go ahead, go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry. I'll
No,
never
please,
do it again.
please.
But the beginning of the movie,
Yeah, right.
it kind of jokes on you. At the beginning of the movie, it gives you a couple quick facts about there being like thousands of miles
Right.
of tunnels, unused subway tunnels underground in the United States. So it kind of like sets you up with that knowledge to kind of have that be in the back of your head.
Which is true outside of the context of the film.
Right.
That is a fact. There's tons of underground stuff that's been abandoned.
Right. But then yeah, they essentially have these clones, puppets, whatever, that kind of they like mimic what the above ground society is.
Yeah, and again, we'll go back to this movie calls them shadows. Shadow kind of works to me because it's almost like a literal shadow of what's happening above,
Right.
but just like a lifeless, detailless, formless version of it.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's an apt.
Okay. Real quick, Caleb. before we delve into more of the story
Mhm.
plot, real quick.
Yeah.
So Lupita Nyong'o
Yeah.
plays not the titular us. She plays one of the us. You can cut that out.
Yes.
You can cut that out.
When did we get to the end of the synopsis yet?
Well,
Did you talk about the big twist?
well, let's want to get into the twist.
Well, just if we're getting into Lupita, yeah, we should do the twist.
That's what I
'cause
want to get into. I wanted to talk about how amazing she is. She's incredible in this movie. Okay, so we can get into the twist. So as I said before, this movie, each basically it insinuates that every person in America has an evil twin, essentially living underground, right?
Yeah.
Lupita's, whose character's named Adelaide, we'll call her Addie, because that's what they call her in the movie.
Mhm.
Her doppelganger, her shadow, escapes along with the family, the Wilson family. They escape. They attack. The Wilsons,
Mhm.
right? And that kind of the story goes from there. And then um, before all this happens, they're taking a trip to Santa Cruz. Do we even get into the beginning of the movie? I don't even think we touched on that. The movie opens up in 1986. Young Addie and her family are on a trip on the Santa Cruz boardwalk. I love that it's in Santa Cruz, by the way. I love that. Um, and they are, the parents are fighting, classic. She's kind of just like aimlessly, following her parents, kind of taking in all of her surroundings. But something catches her attention, and she goes into kind of like a fun house, kind of like a hall of mirrors, and she gets a little scared, tries to leave, tries to escape.
Yeah.
But as she's leaving, she sees what she thinks is her reflection, only to realize that it's her, right? And then the movie cuts from there, and then it cuts to basically them leaving the boardwalk, arguing because they're saying, "You should have watched the dot. You should have watched her." Um, Another thing that they kind of throw in there, which kind of it ties in the movie. It's not a huge part of the movie. Actually, it is towards the end, but they go see a therapist. The therapist tells the parents, really tried to ingrain like writing, dancing, and the dancing thing will come up later. Um, but anyway, so the parents, so then it takes the movie picks up however many years later, and the family is taking a trip to Santa Cruz.
She's married. She has 2 kids now. Seems to be adjusted pretty well.
Yeah, she's talking. It's great. So you know that her character has gone through something. She doesn't want to revisit it, and this is why the reveal is really really cool.
You assume something bad happened to her caused by the tether or the underground version of her when she was a child, right?
Right.
And that's what she's avoiding. What actually happens? What was actually happening that night when she was a kid?
Yeah, so basically what happens is, as we said, there's like a tunnel system where all these people, all these doppelgangers, representations of people above ground. And what happens, and they don't give it away, they tell you at the end of the movie, the doppelganger switches. She takes Addie, basically handcuffs her to metaphorically
underground bed.
to the underground, and then she is the one that kind of
Takes her
leads.
spot above ground.
Exactly, and that's the character throughout the whole movie.
So we thought we were following. Yeah.
Fucking wild. I for whatever,
This is your first time seeing it, right? This time today
never seen
when
this
you
movie.
watch it today?
I guess I should have assumed that was the twist. I don't know why they didn't really telegraph. Like it feels telegraphed now that you know. Because like, obviously, what else would have happened other than what I thought when I saw the movie myself the first time was just that she saw that it was her that freaked her out. She got out of there, and then but also you would that's completely that also works like that
It
works in the
checks
story,
out.
right?
Yep. Until you know.
Exactly. Until
There's no reason to question it until
Right.
you know the reveal.
Right. I have a lot of thoughts. I feel like I'm just rambling
No,
here.
yeah, I think that was a great catch up, and so to fully appreciate
Because Lupita, this is why we're talking
Lupita's
about it.
performance as
Yes.
an actress. Not only is she doing these two different roles, but both roles work
Yeah.
on so many levels. So this is one of my favorite types of films to watch because
What type
It-
of film is that? What do you mean?
it has so many layers
Mm.
and so much depth to everything in it that it changes each time you watch it.
Mhm.
So the first time I watched this, it was a movie about a family being attacked by these like monster versions of themselves, right?
That's what it is on the
On the
surface,
surface
right?
level,
Right.
and that's the ride you get, and you're fully. I got a full.
That's also
movie.
like really that's great.
It's a great ride,
Right.
and then you get the reveal, and you're like, "Whoa!"
Mhm.
You watch it again, knowing the reveal,
Uh-oh.
and now your perspective is shifting because you go into it being like, "Oh, I know she
You
switched
see all the
spots.
tells.
She's still the bad guy, though.
Mhm.
Those are still the bad guys. These are still the good guys."
Interesting that you say bad guys, Caleb.
Exactly.
Interesting that you say bad guys. Because I
Exactly.
left the movie feeling I didn't feel bad. Okay, maybe
Okay.
I did feel confused. The way the movie portrays so real quick, so we'll just call them shadows. I feel like that's the only way. So the shadows essentially there's an
And then what will
uprising.
we call above ground people?
What?
Shadows are below ground people. They're the ones uprising who don't
Human.
talk.
I don't know.
Just let's call them
Above ground is two
normies.
Normies, sure. So the shadows essentially chose well, we should also say that each doppelganger has a name. Addie's name is Red, right? So we'll call her Red. So these shadow people chose Red as kind of like their leader in a sense. Like she's also the only one that can talk, right?
Mhm.
All these shadow people have like these they communicate in grunts and like it's almost like a physical the way that a physical language, but she's the only one that can talk. She talks, but it's like in a very like coarse, like graded voice, which is amazing. Why am I talking about this? Hold on, let me get my bearings straight. Right, because what the movie does, essentially, it's basically a. I don't want to get too heady, and this is stupid. What I'm about to say, but like the movie, like one of the theme, the shadow people are essentially just the like the social divide in America, right? So like everyone that we just kind of like cast off, don't even think about them. That's like what they're supposed to represent, right? So in saying that, who wouldn't want to escape that reality, that life, right? Who wouldn't want to basically have an uprising and kind of not take what's theirs, but kind of just be like out in the sun, literally. That's kind of what they're doing by the end of the movie. So that's why when the movie ends, you're kind of like, yeah, like it is sad that she felt the need to swap, or not felt the need, but just chose to do that. But at the same time, it's like he kind of was literally forced into this position. So it's like you do feel you do leave the movie feeling conflicted about this, right?
Yep. Totally. Totally. No, it's great, and it's perfect.
You're perfect.
So, thank you. Do you say I'm perfect? Oh, thank you. So, yes, and the first time you watch it, the movie does it on purpose, but you believe you're watching a movie about this good.
Like Addie's your hero.
Yes,
Right.
she's the mom who's trying to save the kids from the monsters, right? And that's pretty straightforward, and
Mhm.
you can watch the whole movie that way and have a great experience, and you get the payoff. She wins.
Right.
She defeats her evil inner self, like kind of represents this like darkness and id.
She overcoming, yeah, right.
Overcome. So it's
Mhm.
like a pretty traditional like hero story fighting like evil until one wrench in that whole story. She wasn't originally she's the one she stole that life.
Right.
She took it from underground Addie. So when you watch it a second time, you start to question, you're like, wait a minute, who are the good guys? Who are the bad
Exactly.
guys? Because the more I'm watching this, the more I'm like, those guys underground are kind of the ones I'm rooting for.
Right.
Because they're the ones who've been tethered,
Right.
literally chained to these above-ground people living their lives, and they have to live this like holistic,
Yeah.
awful version of this above life. Like, my whole life has been bad because of you, and you didn't know it, but that doesn't matter to me.
Right.
And that, to me, is one of the most important themes of the movie. It doesn't matter that we above ground didn't realize that there was a subjugated people underground. There was a subjugated people underground who resented us,
Right.
and they want their freedom we were in the way of.
Hmm.
That, when you were talking about the subjugated groups in America, his movies are extremely socially driven. There's no denying it's an essential part of his filmmaking, and so to talk about his movies without talking about the social aspects is like
Mm.
nearly impossible, in my opinion.
And real quick, so what I love about his movies too is his ability to weave like this is my word, I think I'm gonna incorporate it in everything, weave. But he weaves this social commentary into genre storytelling.
Yeah.
Like that's the best way for us to absorb this information. I don't think that's true, but like it's a really smart, because a part of me feels like, is he doing this on purpose? Of course he is, because these things are on his mind,
Yeah.
and he wants to not telegraph, but like portray this in his movie.
Well, and how can you not express like your worldview and your art? Like,
Right.
at a certain point, it's gonna come through.
Right, but what he does is like his move, because he's a how am I trying to say this?
He weaves it with such a compelling narrative. It makes you.
Help me, Caleb.
So I think what you're trying to say is something I agree with. If you're trying to change my mind about something, it's called a persuasive argument.
Oh, snap.
Your goal is to come into my brain and connect with it and then change my mind. If you are coming in trying to change my mind overtly, humans instinctually reject that feeling.
Mm.
If I feel that you're coming into my space and trying to tell me how to feel about things, I don't care what you're talking about. My id,
There we
my
go.
shadow is
Mhm.
going to say, back off. This is my territory. I
Right.
don't need you
Don't
telling
tell me what to
how
think.
to think about
Right,
movies
right.
or the world. Like, if I want to think about
Mm.
racial injustice, I'll think about it. Like, I want to watch them. You have to trick people. Movies are manipulative.
Right.
Jordan Peele, like you're saying, does an excellent job of creating, first and foremost, a fun movie. Get Out is a great, exciting, scary
Exactly.
movie, regardless of the social or political implications of its themes.
Hey, real quick, you guys are getting educated right now. Go ahead.
I mean, like, you could pick almost any blockbuster, but any movie that is going to try to force a political point of view down your throat without first tricking you into liking that character and feeling compelled. Because, like, the whole point is, if I walk in your shoes, I can understand what you're feeling.
Right.
Well, a movie will let you walk in somebody's shoes, more or less. It's a dream,
Mhm.
and you get to dream another person's life. And so that's a really effective way of convincing somebody of a point of view.
Mm.
If you can show me through their point of view what it's like, rather than telling me and preaching and trying to convince me just by saying, you really should be more tuned in on this, you guys. You guys are watching movies and
Mhm.
having fun, but there are bad things happening.
Right.
And it's like, well, okay, well, I'm not in movies, so, like, what do you expect me to do at the movies?
But that's the cool thing about his movies, kind of like the Green Knight too, um, is that you get so much out of repeated viewings. So like you said, like the first viewing is just a simple, not simple, but like a story of a family trying to fight for their lives, right? The more you watch it, the more you pick up on these little themes. This is intentional for this reason. He's trying to tell me something.
Yeah.
And the more you watch it, you're able to pick up on that. And I think that's why he's probably like for me, he's like an amazing filmmaker. I
Yeah.
think, and like not even filmmaker, just a storyteller. Like he's amazing.
And,
Anyway,
and you don't have to have a twist to make a movie rewatchable.
that's the thing too. I thought even without the twist, this movie is still extremely compelling. He
Yes.
didn't need to do that. He did that because he's an artist and like he's able to.
And it forces you to confront these ideas that you
Yes,
have
thank
of
you,
like,
Caleb. It
oh, there are
makes it
good
more
guys and bad
complicated.
guys. And you're
Right.
like, and so he tricks you into thinking, oh yeah, this is a movie about good guys
The
and bad
reason,
guys.
yeah, exactly. The reason he does that is to force
to
you
question
into
it.
Thank you,
And
Caleb.
exactly. And if he did it on the nose where he's like, oh, you think they're good guys and bad, like a character's talking. He's like, you
Right.
think we're the bad guys? Well, guess what? Then you're gonna be like, oh, okay. But it's a much more effective way to make you realize like maybe there's more depth to the situation and more context adds a little bit of nuance to it than we first realized. And maybe everything in life,
Right. There's
once we look at the nuance, we see that it's not so black and white.
bingo. Wow.
And maybe in this one detail I did pick up that was
Yes,
kind of
I have
fun.
another one. I have one too as well.
Tons of
A
foreshadowing
lot of
of what's
foreshadowing.
coming. Awesome stuff. She stole a little girl's life and took it when she was a girl, right?
Yes.
When she goes back to the beach, her son is about that age.
Yes.
So one of the things she's most scared of is her son
Yes.
being taken and
Yes.
swapped out just like she was
Exactly.
or did to herself.
Right.
In that scene, so there's
She doesn't want to pull a her.
yes, literally,
Yeah.
she doesn't want her son to get hurt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. There's tons of coincidences that are happening, these weird synchronicities that are happening in the world that are foreshadowing this. Like, there's a toy spider and a real spider crawls out just from under it. When they're at the beach, there is a towel that's
Yes, I
with blue
love that.
circles
Yes.
and a red,
Yes. Caleb. Perfect. Yes.
a red
A polka dot blue towel.
and a red frisbee lands perfectly on one of the blue polka dots. They're the exact same size and it's perfectly over it. And they go, "Oh, that's funny." And they pick it up. In the movie, the underground people obviously are represented by the color red.
Right.
And so that's a red circle
Bingo.
covering the blue one.
Yes.
There are certain times you actually see the blue, the above ground families represented as blue. Like for example, in that scene, the frisbee, red frisbee covers the blue circle, and she gets disturbed by it. You could see Addie actively notices that and is kind of freaked out
So when
by
I
it.
first saw it, I thought it was just the fact that the frisbee landed perfectly on it, and also the fact that a frisbee was just thrown
Well,
at them.
yes, yeah.
But so I was like, "Oh, okay." But now that you say that,
It's the symbolism of the underground people taking the spot of the above ground
Right.
people, and that freaks her out specifically because she was the red frisbee covering up the blue
Bingo.
circle,
Yep.
and now she's revisiting this, and now she's in a position, and this happens. I think this is a normal thing
Roles
for
were
parents to
reversed.
deal with,
Right.
where they're like, "Oh, I'm scared of my kid doing the stupid stuff I did."
Exactly. Right.
And so
Yeah.
I'm afraid my kid's gonna get swapped out by the evil version of him
Right.
the same way it happened to me. Literally, her son being the blue circle,
Did you
being
notice
taken by the red.
Did you notice any tells early in the movie about that, like, oh, having rewatched it now? Because I was watching a YouTube video of it kind of breaking some of them down, and I couldn't tell if those were just ones that they picked out because well, for me, I didn't watching that YouTube video, I didn't think that those were actual tells.
If they were overreaching a little bit, basically.
Overreaching,
Yeah.
like, so there's a scene where they're driving to the beach house, listening to music in the car, and um, Addie turns to her kid and she's like, "Hey, keep up with the beat," and she's snapping, but her snaps are almost off. Did you notice that? And that was one of the
Yeah.
things in the video that I was like, "Oh, maybe I thought that was a little reaching," but the thing that comes up later, which I do wanna talk about some of our favorite scenes in the movie,
Yeah.
and that snapping comes up later in the movie to one of my favorite scenes where while they're battling their doppelgangers, everyone else has their doppelganger, attacking them as well, right? So, chaos ensues throughout Santa Cruz, and we're assuming the world, and they've gotten away from their family, they've killed most of the doppelgangers. They're driving this is in the daylight, which I also should say real quick, is that I like this movie a lot, but all this like, visually, all the stuff that was filmed during the day was my favorite. Like, there's something about how he uses color, like you were saying with, like, the red being, the representation of the shadow people. Like, all that stuff just really popped in the movie. I like the way he uses color throughout his because he's kind of, he's a little who else that uses color? Like Shyamalan or something like that, doesn't he use but he does it to, like, make it pop, and I feel like Jordan does the same Mr. Peele, excuse me, does the same thing with his movies,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so there's a scene like, one of my favorite scenes is they come across, a car on fire, and then what's the little boy's name? Do you remember? I'm gonna look. Eddie's son Addie's son's doppelganger, should I say?
Pluto is the dark
Pluto,
side name.
exactly. So you see Pluto, who also has a mask, a ski mask on, and he's snapping his fingers to the rhythm, or basically like recalling that.
Well, and
earlier
that was
scene.
him trying to do the fire starter,
Okay,
right?
was that-
Because there was
that
another
must have been
thing
it too.
where because the kid's always trying to get this trick. He has like a little ring that does sparks if you hit it right, and he can
That's
never get it
throughout
to
the
work.
movie,
So he's always
right.
flicking it. And I thought that's what it was, but it could be
It
either.
could be, yeah.
It could be both,
Well, let's say it was mine, just so I sound smarter.
which I think it is.
Okay, yeah, I think it was too. No, but like just him like snapping in front of the car. It was just like really cool to look at, man. It was really awesome. I
And that's
loved
the
that.
scene where they have their final standoff, Pluto and the above ground version.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's such a
also
good
where-
scene. Oh,
And that's
so
also
sad.
I was kind of confused about that because the Addie's son, again, I don't know his name, basically realizes, oh, like I can control my shadow, and he basically walks him into the fire, into the car that's on fire to essentially like, what's the word when you
Immolate.
immolate himself. But then I was thinking, how does that work if that wasn't really done throughout, like, if
Right.
that part confused me. Like, if that was the case and he was able to do that, how come no one else was able not to figure it out, but just be able to control themselves?
And I thought about this. I think that was his special connection with his
Because they did share a
doppelganger.
couple moments where, oh, thank you, Caleb. Now I understand, because there
Which
is
it doesn't. It might not make sense that they all don't have that connection, but he did for some
exactly.
reason.
So
That's the
there's a
point.
scene in the movie where him and his doppelganger kind of share, like, they're almost like mirroring each other's moves.
You can see the above what is it, Shadow and the normie Pluto
Right.
kind of realizing that this other version of him just mimics him no matter what he does, which does not
His name is
remain
Jason, by the way.
consistent with all the
His name-
characters. Jason.
Jason, yeah.
That's a weird name for a kid.
I know when I heard Jason, like,
I was
Jason,
imagining like Ravi or Paul. I
Robbie.
don't know. No, that's a
Hmm.
weird name for a kid.
I was
too.
thinking of Ian. That's a good name.
One thing I noticed, there's a few things, and I wish I wrote them down. We kind of talked about this. I don't like taking notes during a movie. I find it to be kind of distracting.
Right. What I've been doing. Sorry. Actually, go ahead. I don't want to cut in.
No problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Actually, no.
Very quickly, when they get to the summer house,
Right.
they're panning across the room while they're coming in. I think they're like, it's a shot of a mirror, and there's like pictures on the mirror. There's a picture of Addie's mom and the kids. So it's Addie,
And the photo frame.
Addie's mom, and the kids in the picture frame. Yep.
Okay.
And the grandma, Addie's mom,
Correct.
who we realize by the end of the movie is not actually our
Sure.
main character. So it's her foster mom, basically,
Yeah.
is standing with the kids around her arms.
Okay.
And then Addie is left of them, leaning
Okay.
away.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's hinting that Addie doesn't feel comfortable with that mom.
Mhm.
Totally makes sense on the surface level of the film because we can tell that her childhood didn't seem super
Exactly.
great, even with this
Right.
weird trauma.
Mhm.
So maybe they just didn't have a great relationship, but then finding out later she literally was a stranger pretending to like fit in with this family her whole life.
Right.
And so her only real connection is with her kids because her two kids are the only ones in the whole world that she's literally family with.
Right. Ah. How come
And that's
people don't
why
like
she's
this
so
movie?
obsessed. Because they didn't take. I don't think it's real. It's a little long. Or the second half of the movie, in my opinion, the third act or
Yeah.
the second act. It is the second half. Gets a little long. Like I love Tim Heidecker.
Oh, we didn't even talk about that. So good. I love
So
him.
good, dude.
I also love so Tim Heidecker and Elizabeth Moss
Yeah.
play they're a family that the Winstons know. Or I think no Wilsons, excuse me. That
It seems like he's like a coworker, family friend,
yeah,
though. But
the
they're
dads know each other, right? And the wives begrudgingly talk to each
yes,
other.
and it seems like everybody hates them except for Winston, the main guy.
Right.
And even that, it seems like he's more interested in his socially than as
Exactly.
a actual. They don't seem like good friends.
No. But yeah, Tim and Elizabeth Moss, they're really, really great together. But I loved because they also get attacked by their doppelgangers. And Tim's doppelganger, whose name is Tex, I'm looking at it right now, which is very funny, acts exactly the way Tim Heidecker. Did you notice that? For some reason, I think of all of them, he would like have
He was so
he
his
retained all of kind of the mannerisms that Tim Heidecker. Yeah, it was so good. I loved it. It was great. He was awesome.
his shadow version is like one of my favorite lighthearted parts of the
Exactly.
movie
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's so funny
Yeah.
and it's still creepy like when he keeps jumping into the squat while he's walking down the stairs towards
It was almost like
the dad.
miming. Yeah, right. But yeah, lightheartedness, him, and again, I think Winston Duke. I don't know if I think I might have already touched on this. I don't remember, but just I feel like he was the analog for Jordan Peele in this movie. Like he was just Jordan Peele in the movie. Like a lot of his dialogue, they also kind of like he had like almost like he had like same beard, same glasses. I got like Jordan Peele vibes. But he had some funny lines. I wrote some of them. There's a scene where they're escaping their doppelgangers. They find a car and they're all trying to figure out who gets to drive, and they do it based on kill count. Like, I killed 2 of them. I killed myself and you. Like just in terms of trying to figure out who can drive. They were going off that. I thought that was great. What else? Okay, so something I have in my notes.
Okay.
I did take notes while watching this. Not Chekhov's gun, but I have Chekhov's big gem. So if you what?
Chekhov's gun.
Correct.
I get it.
Okay.
Explain to the audience.
Oh, okay. So Chekhov's gun, basically what it is like if it doesn't have to be a gun, but if like something like a gun appears in the first act, I think it's the first act, somewhere in the movie, it has to pay off at the end of the movie.
Got it.
Right?
Got it. Okay.
Caleb?
A little bit of film school. I knew it. I wanted you to teach them.
Oh, okay. Did you not know what Chekhov's big gem was? I mean gun.
I knew.
Anyway, basically Jason picks up a big gem in the movie, and I'm like, what's he gonna do with that gem? He ends up saving his mom with it. Regardless, I just wrote it in my notes. I thought it was funny.
And he hits the twin that didn't die. Elizabeth Moss.
Also,
yeah.
Thing too,
and she's attacking the sister at that point, right? The sister kind of gets jumped.
Yes,
because the mom's handcuffed, and then the brother saves with the Chekhov's gem. Yeah.
Also, weird thing, do they die? Or
yes,
they do die because there was a couple of things
the Tim Heidecker's shadow family.
No, I just mean the shadows in general, because they're kind of like almost like they've killed them, but then they come back to life. There was a couple instances of that, so I was kind of confused.
I think they die. They're just like they're just very durable and persistent. They have a much tougher disposition. Wow, deposition. That's a tough deposition.
Couple things I also really liked about the movie.
Yeah,
I like the way I like the way he works music into his movies too.
Yes.
There was what's the song that I've Got 5 on it?
5 on it, I think.
Okay. Who is that? I don't know.
I don't remember.
That song is in the movie. It's really good. It comes back later in the movie. It's great. But he also throughout the movie, there's like a choir chanting. I love that.
The choir part of the soundtrack gives me absolute chills. When it first comes in at the beginning of the movie,
there's a shot
that gets me every time.
I think it's when they're first going to the beach and they're walking. There's like an overhead shot of them walking on the sand, and it's just the choir. It's really, really good.
And it just comes out of nowhere.
So good.
And I love how 5 on it becomes the base for the dance at the end.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's also an awesome. That's what I have in my notes too about that scene where basically the end of the movie. There's a scene. Well, not a scene, but like the end set piece is Red and Addie fighting each other.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that they kind of pointed out in the movie, in terms of like a tell that she was actually the shadow person.
Mm-hmm.
Addie was that she knew exactly where to go to find. Because what ends up happening is the doppelganger, the shadow person, Red, ends up taking Jason, her son, down with her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like kidnaps him. So that forces her to go find him, but she knows exactly where to go. And that in the movie, you just kind of think, she's running, but she knew exactly where to go.
Great point. Yep.
And I was like, oh, of course.
Because she'd know. Yep.
Because you kind of think she's just like aimlessly running, but she's not. She'd like, which is very, very cool. But anyway, so there's a big set piece at the end. The two of them are fighting each other, Addie and Red. It's very choreographed, kind of like a dance sequence, and they also like intercut scenes of Addie and Red dancing because they're both ballet dance or above ground Addie or Red. It's my head hurts trying to figure out which is which. But I love that scene too because the fight scene is very balletic, and then they obviously intercut it by showing scenes of Addie and Red doing ballet dancing. One's doing it like in front of an audience, the other one's kind of just doing it very underground. Remember that? I
Yes.
know you remember.
With the dance?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
really cool. I love that.
And that's the moment when she does the dance, that's the moment that the underground shadow people realize she's special.
Exactly.
And so her being from above ground makes her a chosen one below
Mhm.
ground because she has all these skills and abilities, like speaking. Cool thing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about why she has a rough voice. She didn't talk underground
At all.
She
Exactly.
spoke their language. So she
Exactly.
literally hasn't talked to anybody for decades. So her vocal
Mhm.
cords are so raspy because she's not using her voice. She's talking like them, the grunts and the points and yells, and which I thought was a cool detail.
I really want to rewatch it again, but just to see the parts of her that talk. Just kind of want to see if there's any like key things that you're like, oh wait, why would you? You know, like
So another cool hint, you were talking about hints or anything cool you liked. When she gets angry, there's a few times throughout the movie,
her voice kind
Addie,
of cracks, right?
yes, and she gets more guttural and she kind
Yes,
of goes,
exactly.
she sounds like what we realize Red sounds like at the end of the movie.
Right, but you just assume she's like,
she's just mad.
right,
And she's just,
exactly.
that's how she sounds when she's mad, which is true. It just happens to be a hint as
So
to her
cool.
past.
I really like this movie, Caleb.
There's so much.
Real quick, another note. Sorry. So I kind of took notes in chronological order, and in my notes I have shadows are assholes. Little did I know, Caleb, that by the end of the movie, I would be a little more conflicted, less black and white, a little bit more gray on the shadows. Caleb's looking at his computer screen. He's not
I
paying
told you I didn't
attention.
want to do this while you were talking.
I'm talking to
This
the
was
audience.
literally you
Audience.
told me
Audience
to do
listening.
this.
The cool thing about Caleb is that when you have a conversation with him, usually he's really engaged and he's a great listener. But when he gets distracted,
You mean when he asks his co-host if he can look something up real quick, and the co-host insists that he can keep talking while he looks it up,
Hey,
and then
don't-
he says, "Okay, fine."
don't throw me under the bus.
You're throwing me under.
Well, you're not listening to me when I'm talking to you. Another weird thing. Oh, you're still looking.
I just need to find this one detail.
Okay.
That I'm trying to get one detail about this dance.
I hope you keep this
that
in.
I can't
Don't
remember.
cut this out because this is a indictment on you. I don't know if we said this, but this is our first in-person record.
This is our first, which I think the energy overall is way better.
Well, yeah.
I can criticize myself, but I think this has been a huge success. Okay, here we go.
Yes.
So you asked me about
Drum roll, please. Caleb has finally found what he was looking for.
Favorite parts of the movie.
Yes.
So there's obviously a big theme of duality in this film, of like two versions of ourselves, literally in this case. And the big dance at the end. So we talked about the soundtrack being awesome. We talked about 5 on It, which is by the artist Lunas, which I don't know if that's the right way to say it. It's a variation. They take that melody from 5 on It and kind of write it into a ballet song. According to the choreographer,
like an orchestrated. Is that a word? Orchestrated version of it? Is that what they did? I don't remember.
Yes,
No.
yeah. They
like
put it the
swings on
orchestra,
it,
kind of make it a something that sounds more ballet, but it's the same melody
Right.
and rhythm as 5 on It. Which you can argue that's duality in itself, these two genres being combined. This was a combination, a fusing together of Sugar Plum and Cavalier from the traditional Nutcracker ballet. It is both the female and male parts in one dance, and then distorted. And that's according to the choreographer, Ashley McCoy.
Is that the fight scene that That's
That's the big
choreography
finale fight
about it.
scene. Is like when
And it's
they're
really
both
balletic. Is that a word?
probably.
Sure. Yeah. Hey,
I
guys,
understand what you're saying.
it's a word. No, yeah, I could that's awesome. I did not know. I did not realize that.
So the song is called, and I'm not gonna be able to say this correctly, but Pas Adieu,
Okay.
Pas de do,
That sounds right.
Pas de do,
Yeah, put some
which
flair on
literally
that.
means step of two.
Oh, interesting.
And so this is a dance that is choreographed as a duet.
Right. That is so awesome. I love that.
And so in the soundtrack, the only reason I've connected this, the soundtrack, that finale song, which I listen to a lot because it's so awesome, is called Pas de Deux.
Okay.
I should ask Becca how to say that. She took French in high school.
She would know.
But just a cool little detail about that finale, and you think it's just like a fun dance and stuff, but there's just like way more layers to it. And apparently, the choreographer incorporated that into the choreography,
Awesome.
where it was this dance designed for two people that was danced alone, as being like part of the inspiration.
That's really, really great. I love that. Yeah. So overall, I absolutely love this movie. I'm really, really glad that you recommended. I would have gone to it at some point. It wasn't on like my high must watch list. It was on it, but I'm really glad I was able to watch it with you. Again, I think it was like I can so I'm not a scary movie person. I don't really
Yep.
gravitate towards that. It is like very high tension, very tense. There are some like kind of brutal scenes.
Yes.
But like I said before, it's like it's a nice blend. I think um after the initial kind of like home invasion scene, it gets a little comedic. Like there is not like slapstick funny, but like there are some like lighthearted moments throughout the movie.
Yeah.
So I think it's well balanced. It's not like just a scary movie. It's not just I mean it is, but there are
No, Get Out's a little bit more of a straight thriller, like you're talking about. Where this has that home invasion scene, the initial invasion, that plays pretty straight suspense horror. After that, it is a dark comedy. I think you're right. And this is I'm going to jump on a soapbox. Hopefully, you can hear me from all the way up here now.
Hey, Caleb, can you get off your high horse for a second? Sorry, that was bad.
I would argue there are two true heirs to Steven Spielberg's claim of blockbuster.
HEIRS?
HEIRS, the two people who are like truly continuing the tradition of Spielberg blockbusterism, which Spielberg blockbusters were about suspense and tension and were borderline horror movies. The great dramatic scenes use horror elements to convey effectively, this feeling. Jordan Peele is one of them, especially after watching Nope. I think you'd have a hard time denying that he's at least heavily inspired by Spielberg. This movie in Us, there's the great scene where Winston Duke's shadow is caught in the boat's rope, and you can tell where he is because there's a buoy hanging connected to him. The famous scene to hide Jaws is they had the buoys so they didn't have to show the shark.
It's almost like a reference, even, but I was gonna say it's a reference even if it wasn't trying to be. But then realizing the kid had a Jaws shirt on. I think Jordan does it more. I think Jordan does it more in like the genre story. Like I see Jordan Peele as an heir in terms of like they're both great genre storytellers. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. War of the Worlds I barely missed this week on my movie list.
I like that movie. I think that's kind of an underrated Spielberg movie.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly what I love that movie.
It gets the Tom Cruise bad rap, who I like Tom Cruise, but I actually think that is a very underrated Spielberg movie.
So good. And just a big spectacle. You care about the characters. Tom Cruise is super likable. The daughter is really likable, whose name I'm blanking on.
Is it a Fanning?
Yeah. Fanning, yes. Dakota. But just something I really thought about watching this. Nope made me think about it a lot. And so revisiting Us, it's still, I stand by it.
Okay, so one of my last 4 was King of Comedy, right? Have you seen this
movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never watched it.
Really good. Actually, I would say I kind of vacillate, good wording, in terms of like which Scorsese movies I like. Also, I'm like really hyped for Killers of the Flower Moon. It's supposed to be like almost 4 hours long, Caleb. I'm excited to watch that with you. But I was interested in this movie. It's extremely good. And then I watched it and I was like, "Oh, Todd Phillips watches King of Comedy and makes The Joker. It's the exact same movie." I think people have said this, and this isn't a nuanced take, but, like, after watching King of Comedy and then knowing I didn't actually watch The Joker or, like, all of it, but after it's it's the exact same movie.
Yeah. I've heard that. So I haven't seen King of Comedy, but I know the story. And it's about a bad comedian basically who.
I would argue the bad part. I thought it was pretty funny.
But that's the
Yes,
stories,
yes,
right? Yes.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
good. I was like, because I haven't seen it, so I don't
It's a
actually
great
know.
movie. I implore you to watch it. It's, like, not, the only reason I say that is 'cause directors, instead of taking influence from directors or movies they like, literally just make the same movie.
They will it's like
Is this a director tangent? Should we have like a is this
no,
like
this is good. This
Okay.
is good. Because it's a real thing. There are certain directors, there's a difference between being inspired by and copy and pasting from. For
Right.
example, Quentin Tarantino, he copy and pastes, but he manages to kind of create a collage that is so unique
But I'm saying
that it's no,
Yeah.
that it works. There are also directors who just
They just
take elements
smash it on
and they
these
don't
guys, yeah.
add to them.
No,
They
yeah.
don't use them and re-envision them. They don't expand on them. It's not a quick reference. They literally take the payoff and the point of that scene
Right.
and then just use it. That's cheating to me.
Oh, snap.
Anyway, weird tangent, but I do think the state of directing today has gotten really boring in general and like really lazy. And there are very few innovators who are creating worthwhile content. I'm gonna cut all this because I actually don't want this to be my vibe.
No, don't cut it. I liked it.
I don't want to be too like hoity-toity film guy though.
Yeah, but I'm also it's fine.
Okay. I'll see how.
I like it. 'Cause also I made some jokes that were pretty good, so I'd rather you just keep it in.
I see.
You can also keep this in so people know that you
I'll just keep your jokes out of context.
Exactly. No, but if you keep this in, people will know that you're like feeling
At
this.
least aware. I
Aware
don't
of
want to
it.
be that guy.
You're
I
not
just
that guy,
really,
though, but
I think people time shouldn't be wasted, and that's like where it gets to me is like that these filmmakers spend all this money and they waste these talented crews' times. There's so much production design and concept art that's
real
used.
quick, can I say something quick? Does it ever blow your mind that you think if they didn't use this money to make this movie, they could have
Yes,
put it towards something else?
absolutely.
I always think about. Okay, Caleb. I think it's time to read some reviews on us. What do you think?
Yes, please take the mic away from
No,
me.
Caleb, come on. I loved it. So what we're gonna do now? We're gonna use Letterboxd. There's a review system embedded into the app, and I'm gonna read some bad reviews. I'm gonna read some good reviews, and we're just
Awesome.
gonna go back and forth. We're gonna have a
I
little.
love it.
You know, maybe it'll bring up a reaction from one of us. Okay. So I'm looking at the bad reviews, and the rating system, you can go as low as half a star, you can go as high as a 5-star review. Okay, so we'll start with the half star. These are half-star reviews. Yeah, these people did not like this movie. And this first review, half star, from username Chicken Nug 45, and they say, "Not scary, not new. Only thing iconic was the theme song, IG." I don't know what IG means.
Instagram,
I don't know.
IG5 on it.
Interesting. Oh,
Are they starting to talk about the
maybe.
theme song?
Maybe they just did not.
Like meaning they're like, this is a classic song.
They just did not finish writing the review. And so I'm reading these reviews, and the kind of the thread through all of them is people that didn't like it was because it wasn't scary enough. That's what I'm reading. And again, I don't like scary movies. This was a perfect amount of scares for me.
If I remember correctly, this movie was marketed heavily on the home invasion scene
Oh, interesting.
and the family breaking in, which
Yeah.
is like we talked about the most horror scene of
Sure.
the movie. And so I can see if you saw that marketing and we're thinking of Get Out, why you'd be a little bit like, oh, that's not what I thought I was getting.
Yeah.
So I get that. I see it. Watch it again.
Yeah. Hey, Chicken Nug 45. Watch it again. Also, it's funny that you say watch it again. This was a repeat viewing. He's seen this movie before.
Spoke too soon. I respect the chicken nug. I respect your opinion.
A lot of these reviews are in Spanish as well. So this is another half-star review. Again, rewatched. And this is by user Josh9962. And they say, I don't know what was happening. Wasn't scary either. Again, see, that's what I'm saying. They don't like it because it wasn't scary enough. And then finally, from General Alien, I believe that's General Alien. That's funny. They say, this movie could completely convince me of its competence in the first 1 minute, but then tore down every tiny bit of atmosphere, replacing it with pure cringe and bad acting. General Alien could not disagree more.
Yeah, that's
Hey, here's a hot take. That's a bad take.
like our main thing about this movie was Lupita and how well she
Just
played.
the acting. I thought the acting was amazing. Now let's pivot. Let's read some reviews of people that like this movie. These are 5-star reviews. This first review from username Jeremy, 5 stars. And they say, thanks, Jordan. I agree. Thank you, Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan.
Thanks,
I'll take this
Jordan.
opportunity also to thank you for this movie and all 3 of your movies.
Yeah, thank you. This is from username Paper Ray, 5-star review. Lupita Nyong'o is genuinely the best actor I've ever seen on screen.
Respect.
Respect. So these are some of the best reviews. Some of these are long, Caleb. There are some essays.
Pick a short,
I'll put a short
top
one.
review if we can, and if not, that's okay.
Ooh, I really like
I
this.
did like
this
those
one.
short ones.
This is from user Patrick. This is a 4-star review, and they say, best use of good vibrations maybe ever. I agree.
Yeah, that was a fun scene.
Jordan does music piece very, very well.
Yeah, I agree.
And finally, we're gonna end it with this, Caleb. This is by user Lucy. They gave it a 4.5-star review. And they say, it's been over an hour, and I can't think of anything else except whatever this was. Simplistically sinister, maybe more comparable to something like The Shining instead of Get Out. I first thought I was somewhat unaffected, but now my mind is clouded with a mild thudding anxiety that won't go away. This is ridiculously fine, tuned to creep under your skin without you noticing. I have to go to sleep now, but I doubt I'll have much success. Wish me luck.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Thank you, Lucy.
Great review. Well said.
Lucy.
So basically, we could have summed up our whole review with that.
I think so.
No, well said. And I like I agree. This is one you can't help but thinking about it every night. It'll just pop up in my head.
Yeah, a little earworm, mindworm. Well, Caleb.
Yeah, that was awesome.
What a great conversation. And now it's time for me to choose my movie for next week. And I'm having trouble. I'm kind of.
So did you think about it before? I want to know. Did you plan this or are you thinking about it on the fly?
I'm caught between 2 movies.
Okay.
There's one movie that, as you noted earlier, I have a stack of movies from the library.
Yes.
There's a movie in there that I kind of want to touch on. I want to talk about. And then there's a movie that has just been on my mind for the past couple of weeks. And I really want to revisit it. I really want to talk about it. And I feel like one is more conversation stimulating than the other.
Okay.
And should I just name both movies and we choose from there?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
You have to pick, but what we can do, pick one, put them in each hand symbolically, and let me pick a hand.
Oh, this is going to be hard.
And if you don't like it, that's how you know that we should do the other one.
Does that make sense? Okay, hold on. I'm putting it in my mind, and I'm putting them
into my hand. So left hand, assign one left.
Hold on. Let me think about this, Caleb. Come on. Okay.
Ian just picked his hands. He's mixing them up, so I don't know which is which.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. And I'm picking your left hand, my right.
You're picking this one? Yeah. Wow. That was kind of see, this is interesting because this is the movie I wanted to watch. I wanted to revisit, but I don't think it's the most conversation.
This is the one then.
Francis Ha.
Yeah, perfect.
Wow.
Bravo.
Bravo.
That's a fun
Should we
movie.
say what the other one was, or should we just keep it
Yeah, I
secret?
want to know.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, that would have been great too. Those are
But
movies I love.
see, that's a movie that I'm gonna keep
Spoiler
on
for
my
next
back
week.
pocket. It's tucked in there. I put it between my butt cheeks and my pocket. So it's in my pocket.
If we do Once in a Time, we should almost just do a Tarantino
Ooh,
episode.
That might be good. We just pick like 4 of them and just that might be fun.
Francis Ha this week, I
Okay.
think is perfect.
It's lighthearted. It's fun. It's a nice palate cleanser to us. Not palate cleanser, but kind of a nice.
It's a nice.
It's a. I was
It's a
gonna
much
say,
more uplifting movie.
Is it? I don't remember if it is or not.
This will be discussed next week.
Yeah, so we'll be watching Francis Ha, talking about it. It's on Netflix. You guys can watch this movie. So just a heads up. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's do Francis Ha. This is great.
This is the end of our first in-person podcast. Not sure how the audio is going to be, so apologies again. I know I promised that we'd never have bad audio again.
Promises were made
I promised
to be
lots of
broken.
things. Yeah. And let us know if it was better, worse.
Actually, you know what, Caleb? We don't want to know.
Keep it to yourselves.
Actually, real quick.
If you want to listen. And if you don't.
Can I address the audience really fast? Guys, we would really appreciate 5-star reviews. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. You can review us both on both services. We would really appreciate it. We are now people that know the ins and outs of kind of how the podcast system works. So the more 5-star reviews you get, the higher you kind of go up in the rankings. More exposure, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So if you guys can take some time, give us a 5-star review, we'd really appreciate it. You can even write something nice. You can write a review if you want. You can say, "Hey, that was awesome."
Say anything.
Exactly.
You can be bad reviews too, I'll say.
Well, no.
I want to know.
Okay. Well,
if you give us a chance to change your mind.
Good point. Yeah, you can critique us, but then give us room for improvement. Like, give us
Say I'm going to come back and
right, you guys are extremely annoying, but I will come back. Anyway, yes, so if you can, 5-star reviews. Also, if you can follow us on all of the socials, guys, we are on Instagram. Are we on Twitter? No, we're not. Will we get Twitter?
Probably not.
I don't think so. But we are on Instagram.
We'll be on YouTube soon. We'll have full episodes on YouTube. They're on Spotify. They're on Apple Podcasts.
Correct.
Instagram is
yes.
Logit_pod.
Logit_pod, Caleb, on Instagram. Follow us. You can follow me, my personal account. If you're ever so inclined, it's Ian.Lock, Locké. You can follow Caleb at F is for Movies on Instagram.
And Letterboxd.
Same
name. Thank you. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Give me a second. Some kind of fun. You can follow us on Letterboxd. Logit_podcast. And then you can also follow Caleb on Letterboxd. F is for Movies. My username is Ian_Lock. Okay? So please follow us there. You know, my cousin hit me up, said he loved the podcast, and he's creating a Letterboxd account because of us. How great is that?
Letterboxd. If we're bringing people in, give us a hat.
We will be getting stickers soon. They are on their way as we speak.
3 designs.
2 designs.
I got a different one.
Oh my god.
I did my own.
That's amazing. So 3 designs. Caleb, I was thinking that we mail some out.
Yeah.
If you're an OG Instagram follower and Letterboxd follower, you can send us your address and we will mail them out.
For sure.
Something to and if you want to follow us on Instagram, send me a DM, give me your address, I will mail you a sticker. And then in doing so, put the sticker on your laptop, put the sticker on your water bottle,
stop signs,
send us and tag us in it so we can post it. Guys, we need to get out there.
Yeah.
We're a baby podcast. Neither of us have any inherited followers, right? We're doing this from scratch. What a joy it is to be
this was awesome.
To be talking with you about movies.
Yeah. The goal is to keep improving. And here's what I'll say to wrap this all up, and probably not.
I actually have another thing I need to add, but go ahead.
I don't like spamming. I don't want to ask for any favors. but it's the nature of this game. So I just want to apologize, but we're gonna have to ask you to like and subscribe. We're gonna have to ask you to review. It's the game.
Yeah.
I don't like it. You don't like it. We're gonna keep it to a minimum.
Yeah.
We won't have to if you guys just do it.
Well, here's the thing. You say we're going to keep it to a minimum. I'm not. I'm going to say it every episode.
Well, the minimum is the maximum in this game. If you catch my drift.
I like where your head's at.
Otherwise, we're not playing the game.
Good point. Caleb, one last thing before we sign off. We would love listener submitted questions. So if you have a question, hit us up on our Instagram, DM us with your question. Any question. It can be
suggestions, movie suggestions.
Yeah, it could be movie or unmovie related. I guess we would prefer
probably movie, but literally, if anything,
exactly.
And if they tried the way you chose movies, if they tried it at home,
exactly. Yeah, tell me what you think. Or you can also email us. It's logitanothermoviepodcast@gmail.com. That's again logitanothermoviepodcast@gmail.com. Email us there with any questions or requests. And Caleb, soon when we're like ready to go, we might want someone to come on the pod.
Yeah.
If you have a movie suggested that you're very passionate about, you need to get something off your chest, you want to talk about it, get on our DMs.
Yep.
Let us know. And hey, maybe you can come on the episode and talk some movies with us.
We do have a guest planned. This will be a surprise.
We do?
By episode 5-ish.
Oh, yes.
So we do have somebody who has reached out and wants to come on.
Yes.
We'll be joining. We're not going to spoil it, but we're very excited for that. So yeah, we're serious about the fan engagement. Troll us. Like, honestly, it all is
positive
good.
Troll, though.
Positive trolling if possible. Constructive trolls. Make me feel bad about something I should feel bad for.
What?
That'd be constructive trolling.
I guess, but no, we don't.
Like, what if I was doing hard drugs and you trolled me about doing hard drugs and I quit?
Point. Caleb, I'm worried about you, bud. I'm gonna troll you so you can see the error of your ways. Okay, Caleb, I think it's time we go.
Yeah. We're meandering. This was awesome, though. We'll be back next week with another episode. Our movie of the week is Frances Ha. So
you can watch on Netflix.
Frances Ha. A great week and see you next time.
Go watch a movie.
Bye.